Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Story Darlings podcast. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Tara.
And today we don't have Jess because we're not
No.
talking about Spark of the Everflame. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it feels weird, but also we still don't know when the fourth one is coming out, right?
No, we do not.
So we don't know when we'll have Jess back.
It's been, by the time this episode comes out, 2 or 3 weeks since we recorded book 3 for that series, and Penn Cole still hasn't thrown us a bone, so woohoo. But what are we talking about today?
We are talking about a book that Sandra has been telling me about for a very, very long time. So some of you may have already read it. The Hurricane Wars by Thea Gunzon? How do you say her last?
Guanzan.
Guanzon? Okay. I was like, I don't even know how to say this last name.
I need to confirm her first name too because I've heard it Thea.
Oh.
But I was pronouncing it Thea.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah. Okay, well, I may have mispronounced both of her names.
Sorry. So this book came out last year, and that's when it came onto my radar because I had received an advance copy from HarperCollins. And you know me, like I'm half Filipino, and this was the first time I'd read a fantasy, like an Asian inspired fantasy written by a Filipino author. So I was super excited. And so for me, it was really fun reading the book and just picking up on a lot of the Filipino culture type of things, whether it was like the kind of creatures in the jungle, this very tropical, humid jungle, or the way that clothing and even cosmetics, because like in Filipino culture, women love like doing their makeup and just lots of colors and elaborate decorations and things like that. And the culture is so centered on family and food. So that was a joy for me to find in the book.
They're also very islandy and archipelagos and all of those things, which puts you into like the Filipino islands as well.
I will say the world building was super heavy because when I read this the first time, there was no audiobook out, right? So you really have to hang in there and get through so much description and just setting stuff.
I am going to tell on myself. I knew I was not going to get through this book in the time frame that I had. And so I went ahead and did not torture myself for the first 5 chapters and then buy the audio. I just bought the audio. I did not feel the world building like I normally do. So maybe I'm just a slow reader and that's my problem. Maybe it's not the book's fault because I did not feel it.
Like a slow reader and just getting caught up in all of the description stuff.
Yeah. So maybe it's my fault and it's not the book's fault when I've been complaining about world building. It's me because I did not feel the world building the same in this when I just listened to it. It felt like I was in it, you know?
I did like the audiobook, and I looked into the voice actor for it, and she is like Filipino and Irish or whatever is her background, so she's mixed too.
So I liked her, but there were a couple of the voices that she did that I'm like, this is just taking me right out of it. Like, I think it was the grandma's voice because she tries to make her sound so old. I'm like, oh no, I can't do that one. That one just
and some of the guy voices too.
Yes. Yes.
This book was interesting because it's pitched as enemies to lovers, which it 110% definitely is. Like they're still pretty much enemies by the end of the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not to lovers yet. It's still enemies.
There was so many just spatting moments between them. Like you could feel the hatred. I wish I could pull up the text message that you sent me yesterday because
I will pull it up. I will
okay.
pull it up because I sent Sandra as I was reading this because, enemies to lovers, you would assume lovers come in at some point, right?
Yeah.
There's this every time you think you're going to get a spicy part, they're finally going to, they just start fighting and you're like, wait a minute, no. But then 7 minutes for me to the end of the book, because I was reading it 2.5 to 3 or whatever fast, you finally get some spice and then they go right back to fighting and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? But yes, I sent Sandra a text the first text I sent her was that there was some major daddy drama in this book too, but then we figure out it's like the whole family drama. But then the next one that I sent her is this is going to be one hot hate fuck. And it never happened. So I'm hopeful because there is a second book in the series, right? Like Monsoon Rising or something like that.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get some hot hate fucking going on in the next book because
Will we?
we didn't get it in this one, but there's got to be, if it is enemies to lovers, there's got to be a lovers part, right?
Yeah, it's all enemies and it's all slow burn. Maybe I'm a little jaded now because we got that Pen Cole treatment. I
Yeah.
mean, in the Spark of the Everflame, the Kindred's Curse series, this woman waited 3 whole books to give us finally their scene at the very end of book 3. I'm like, surely that's not going to happen with the Hurricane Wars this series.
And for this one, I'm like, you guys could just communicate. Just communicate. And you would not be enemies anymore. Like just talk.
How old is Taliesin supposed to be? Like 20? Is that how old she is?
19.
And he's like a little bit older.
I think she went missing, or there was 19 years that she was gone, and I think she went missing when she was not a baby, but like young.
You definitely get the impression that they're super young, and then you find out that they're both virgins. Like they hadn't even kissed each other, and so
or anyone else.
No one else. So like at the end when you finally get stuff, there's like teeth clashing and awkwardness, and they just don't know how to handle it. Have you watched the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix? Did you watch that?
I watched, I think, a little bit of that.
With Alina, her light powers, and Darkling, Ben Barnes. This reminded me of like an adult, like Shadow and Light type of thing with the magic system in a way, because you have the main protagonist who's a soldier in this war and she's a light weaver, and then you have her enemy, the Night Prince, right? The Shadows.
So is his dad also a shadow daddy, but not a good one?
Yes. So when you texted me last night and you're like, oh, we have daddy issues in this, I'm like, what kind of daddy is she talking about? Is she talking about shadow daddies?
No, I was not. But because there's some like play on the moms. Like I feel like there's something with his mom, the way she disappeared and the way she left and things. I think we're gonna see her again, right?
Yes.
And then there's something to do with Talisin's mom that I think we're going to see her again too. I don't think she actually died. With the way like there's still that like dream and her feeling like she was going to see her mom again.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's something to do with like the dark and the light sides of their mom too.
So the countries like on that topic, so you have Taliesin, who is a soldier in this Sardovian Allfold, like this country, and their symbol is the phoenix. And then you have Alaric, is that how you say it? Alaric? From the Night Empire, or Keseth. And then you hear this mention of the Dawn Isles, which is where his mother is from. But you learn like it's her Talisin's family that has this light power too. So it just makes you wonder. I'm like, is there some kind of connection? Are you right? Like
where's her mom from?
Yeah, I think her mom,
because they mentioned her going back to the place she's from, and that is what then started the war in Nevirine or whatever. Nenevar, because her mom went back to help her home. And then they're the ones who attacked the Night Kingdom and killed his grandpa, which I feel like there's a lot of propaganda with that. Like, I don't know that that's actually what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did you get with his father and how his father would like call in to talk to him and stuff? Did you get the whole Raylo fanfic kind of origins, like that kind of vibe from this book?
No, I got like, what is it that like, okay, I don't remember what movie this is, but they used the blood, or maybe it was a TV show. Maybe it was Supernatural, where they used the blood to like call like people, right?
Yeah, like Ruby the demon.
Yes. Yeah. So like I got that, and then also like Addams Family. You know how they like the mom used to call like the grandmother or whatever. I don't know. I didn't want to take his dad very seriously. Like I did not like him, and so he just seems creepy. And
creepy.
Also like he's just a bad guy. I don't think that there's any redeeming him at this point.
No, and he's poisoned Alaric so much against his mom. Like every time Alaric was just talking smack about his mom, but then anytime he would recall some little piece of a memory,
Yeah.
she's like, "Come with me." Like she didn't
She
just abandon him. There, she
yeah,
had a
she
good
loved him,
reason.
but I feel like it was the dad was powerful, and so she couldn't force that. But I would like to hear more about her backstory because I'm wondering if both moms are from the same place.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's why their magic can work together because he's got a little bit of himself, you know?
Yeah.
I almost said sisters, but then I was like, wait, no, no, we can't go down that path. They can't be related.
I think you have something there though, because if they are both from the Dawn Isle, because
Mhm,
Dawn is this liminal period of
mhm,
time, right, between shadow and light, and that would explain this relationship of their power together. And even the magic system in this book, I mean, it was so complicated. I had a hard
mhm.
time wrapping my head around this whole aethermancy type of thing, but they
Yeah.
talk about like this in between dimension and things like that. So it's like, maybe there is something to this Dawn Isle. When I was reading, I was trying to make a little list of things that were like Philippine influence because
Mhm,
this empire or this island of Nenevar, that is the Philippines.
mhm.
It talks about these cute little tiny monkeys with like golden eyes and stuff, and those are native to the Philippines too.
So you have to take me to the Philippines so I can see the little monkeys because, like,
You would be
those were
like,
great.
yes, so many little monkeys and the humidity though. I'm like, ugh. But there was this scene where she had this whole long scene about them eating pudding. So like the little man that had the bamboo pole across his shoulders with these pails. The last time I was with the Philippines with my mom, every day there would be like a someone from like the market who bakes bread or makes taho is what this pudding is called. So they'll like come around the neighborhood carrying these pails and you can buy some for, a few pesos, whatever. And there's different flavors too. There's like a caramel type, strawberry type, like there's like all kinds. So I got a lot of joy in reading that on page because she never said it was Tahoe, but it's like you put it together that that's what it is. But there's so many things like the dragons, the seven moons, like this is all like Philippine folklore, like pre-Spain influence type of thing. And even the grandmother's name, Urduja, that's like a warrior princess from like the early 1300s or something like that. And it was cool kind of reading that, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's like your mythology where I keep pointing out the mythology vibes and things. It makes me
Yeah.
feel more connected to the story that it's something that I'm connected
Yeah.
to. I like
So
that.
I might be a little biased, but we can jump into spoilers now. I think we've kind of given the gist of it. I mean, essentially, it's Keseth, this shadow empire that's at war with the Sardovian. What is it? The Sardovian Allfold.
We don't really get a reason why, so much so that the Night Kingdom or Empire or whatever was attacked at one point, and that is where Talison's mom comes in,
Yeah.
right? And they were attacked, and the grandpa, who was the emperor at the time, Alaric's grandpa, was killed. From what I'm gathering, that then started the Hurricane Wars.
Hmm.
But I don't understand fully how the Sardovian ones come in because that was Nenevar and the Day Court, which are zero Sardovian. So, like, why are they so against the Sardovians?
I don't know. I don't know if it really went into that.
No, I don't think so. Unless, like, the Sardovians just sided with those two and now they're the lone holdout
Or
or
maybe, as
something.
you said, they have some strong connection to this light power. Is it
Yeah.
really just this petty personal agenda that
Or, and this might be reaching, this might be clowning a little bit. You can tell I'm a Taylor Swift fan. Or Alaric's dad knew who was holding the princess of Nineveh and the reason he was attacked. Because she went to Sardovia, right? Or however you say that name, right? That's where her mom took her to keep her safe and put her on the steps of like the orphanage, right? And left her there. So maybe his dad knew that the new ruler of the country that started everything was in Sardovia. And so he wanted her, and that's the reason he was attacking it.
maybe? I guess we'll find out in the next book.
He's got her married to his son, so he's good, and he's gonna take away her powers. I did enjoy your comment to me about Sufframe, where he's trying to get Alaric and Taliesin on good terms, and he's like, "Maybe just be nice to her.
Oh, there's a
Maybe."
novel idea.
And maybe she'll be nice to you if you're nice to her. And so he tries it, and she is. And he's like, "Well, maybe he's a genius." I'm like, "Really? That's your level of genius? Like, maybe be nice to her and she'll be nice to you?" Yeah, I did enjoy that part.
Alaric was so just precious at certain parts of this book. He just
You
really
can
had
tell
to
he was
find
very
a clue.
sheltered.
Yeah.
He was very much like us. This is like us in college. Like, we
Yeah.
don't know what's going on, right?
These people exist. We were them.
Yeah, and so I feel very connected to Alaric and Taliesin.
Mhm. Mhm.
Although I was not a I don't wanna say closet princess, but closet princess. Like, I did not find out that I was a princess of some country. That was my bad. I wish.
Tara definitely had a princess complex.
I did. I wanted to be a princess so bad. And now Harry and Will are both taken. God.
You were obsessed.
Yeah.
But speaking of like comedic parts, there was such a friction between the two of them. Even during the wedding, I was just laughing so much because you get two POVs, which is really interesting in this book. So you do get both Taliesin and Alaric. And it's so funny just being in each other's head when like her walking down the aisle and then you see like the really just snarky comments that they're thinking.
Well, it's like you get 4 POVs. So you get the one where they're trying to do their duties, so they're being very snarky to each other, right? And then you get the one where they're falling in love and you can tell that they actually like each other. And so it feels like they're each 2 different people when they realize
Yeah.
that they are falling or that they have, ventured off of their enemy's
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
plan, and then they
Yeah.
flip their switch.
Tara makes a good point. Getting the two POVs is like four with their kind of schizo thing happening.
Mhm. But that's also where you get to discover that they do have some common ground if they would just talk.
But it's also satisfying whenever he makes comments like, you beautiful little idiot. Things like
Yes.
that. Oh, just so grumpy.
And then she's like, "Don't ever call me that again." He's like, "But you are small, and you are beautiful, and you are an idiot."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
He's like, "It's true."
But I mean, the end scene when you brought up them finally having like they didn't have a consummation so much as second base, whatever you want to call it, their wedding night. And I like how right after it, she's like, "You're sleeping on the floor," and goes to the bathroom to clean up. Just kicks
Yes,
him
like,
out.
that's her schizo moment. She's like, "Oh, I like you. Wait a minute, I'm not allowed to like you. Sleep on the damn floor." And it's like, that was a shift.
She's like, I don't know what happened. This poor guy is so confused and has no idea how to act.
But he does it too.
But it's like, does he do it because she does it to him first, though? Because I feel like if she would just let it be, he would be
Yeah.
like,
But there are
okay.
some times that he does, like, especially when he talked to his dad for the first time on the island, and his dad basically told him that she would never feel the same way about him, and he
Yeah.
shifts completely because he lets
Yeah.
it get into his head that she wouldn't. And at that time, she was feeling closer to him, and then he completely shifts, and so then she backs off.
I didn't know how I felt about the dad just going ahead and making Alaric the Night Emperor, right? Because that could be the dumbest decision ever on his part, or he just is so confident that he has his son brainwashed that he's just not even worried about it.
But he does. I'm hopeful that a lark is coming out of that, but right now, he does have him brainwashed.
And it's quite clear that the father abuses Alaric and
Mhm.
still to this day punishes him. And you get a lot of Alaric's kind of internal fear about, oh, what's he going to do to me now when I go back because I'm blowing him off? And then his father makes comments like, oh, we'll mete out your punishment as
Yeah.
appropriate upon your return. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the book, we're left on a giant cliffhanger because he has to go back to the Shadow Empire, leaving her there. But she, in 2 weeks, will go to the Shadow Empire to be coronated as the Night Queen or
Empress.
Empress, whatever. But it's like in the meantime, I'm like, please don't do anything to our boy. Like, please don't hurt him.
I mean, he is, but I'm a lot of times that is the wake up call that he will need to realize that he needs to take his own power. And like you said, the dad gave him the power.
Yeah.
He's just got to be willing to use it against his dad, and that is where that brainwashing comes in.
How is Alaric gonna do this now with this Saruman bird that nullifies the magic and stuff at the very end scene, you know?
Yeah, but there were spots where he got it back on the island, right? Even with the birds being around, like, they take it away until they get used to it kind of thing. Because she
Yeah.
had her magic, and he also had his magic towards the end of the first time there. They kind of got used to being around the birds. Unless the birds just went away for some reason. But they got their powers back. So
I just don't want anything
maybe
bad to
it's
happen.
maybe it's them being together that can.
Mhm, mhm. Another thing I liked about this book is when we meet Taliesin, she's already aware that she has light power and has been training with it, you know? Because I feel like in so many fantasy books, they have no idea that they had any kind of magic, and then they start from ground zero, not doing anything.
Yeah, I feel like even books written by women are still slightly patriarchal, where the
Yes.
woman has to be the, like,
Unintentionally, but yeah.
stupid,
Oh, totally oblivious.
damsel in distress for the man to save up until she figures out she doesn't have to be, like,
Mhm,
but why can't
mhm.
we just not be a damsel in distress?
In this book, you kind of get the impression that Taliesin is going to embrace this Night Empress. Like, oh, I'm married to him now, and that means I am the Empress, and I do have say in things. So maybe
Mhm.
she will wield that power.
Well, and she already, like, stood up to her grandmother
Uh huh.
and said, "No, actually, I'm more powerful than you are because not only am I your heir and you need me because you don't have any other heirs,
Mm
right?
hmm.
But I'm also the Night Empress. So,
Yes.
bitch, please."
Bitch. I did like how Nenevar, everything is through the woman's line,
Mhm.
regardless, right? Even if she's the outsider, everything is through the matriarch
Is
line.
that culture in the Philippines? They're more matriarchal, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, like my mom, she's like a
Yeah,
matriarch. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why we see less of the damsel in distress and more of the I know who I am from the
Mhm.
beginning. In this, maybe it's because of the culture that the writer is from.
I'll be interested to see how things are portrayed and changed, like, in the second book, given the marriage and new titles and everything like that. Maybe they'll be a little bit spicier. Less of a slow burn, more lovers, less enemies. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I don't think we're going to get that right away.
You don't think so?
No. I think we're gonna have some separation time and a lot happening in that separation time.
That's like my least favorite thing is the separation time.
Well, I think for him, I think there's going to be some growing and some learning that his dad's not all that and probably murdered his mom if she's not still alive. Like his mom never left, his dad murdered her.
Yeah, because there are rumors, right?
Which would then hopefully make him less likely to follow his dad because his
Mhm.
dad didn't give a shit about him. I think there's going to be some growing on Alaric's part. We just said most books, it's the growing that the women have to do and own their own. I think Alaric is the one who's going to have to grow and own his own for him to be a true equal to Taliesin.
That's refreshing.
Uh huh.
I didn't look at it through that lens. I like that. I also see when they are united that he is going to. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to work together, right? After he sees whatever
Mm-hmm.
his punishment he gets from his father, and when his eyes are open to him, they're going to have to partner together to get through it.
I think when they can be true equals and they feel like they are to each other,
Mm
they can then like shed everything that they've been hiding from each other. And I think if he does find her friend, I couldn't figure out the name of her friend, like Kato or something like that.
hmm. Kata.
Kata.
Oh, yeah, the pregnant one.
If he finds her and he gets her to safety, I think that will go a long way to building that
Mm
trust
hmm.
with her.
He
I I
better.
I feel like that would also be very comical because I can just picture Kata thinking he's kidnapping her, trying to save her, and like the utter like shit show that he's gonna have to go to through to like basically kidnap this girl to take her back to Taliesin.
I do wonder about the army that's hidden on the storm's, what is it? The storm's eye or
Mhm.
whatever that island is, because it wasn't a grandma that was like, "We're not going to hide them forever. They need to leave."
And yeah, and she
So it's like,
called
where
her
are they
out on
supposed
that,
to
and she's
go?
like, "No, you promised me you would as long as I did what I was supposed to do. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do." So, she called her on, "You need me more than I need you right now."
Maybe she'll just die. She's got to die, right?
She's
She'll
old.
probably die. Yeah, they're building it up. I don't know how she'll die.
Old
Maybe
age,
there's like an
hopefully.
assassin or something.
Who is the dude who, like, it seemed like he was a friend of Talison's, but who did a duel with a lark?
Oh, Seroquel,
Mhm. Okay,
I
so did
think.
I miss that he was a friend of hers or something?
Was he a friend or like a distant relative or something like
I don't
that?
I missed it, whatever it was, because he seemed very close to her afterwards,
Uh-huh.
because he was trying to, for a lack of a better word, like, protect her honor and make it to where she
Yeah.
didn't have to marry him, and then they had, like, a friendly conversation after it,
Yeah.
and he took her to the aisle and stuff, so I'm like, "Wait, how does she know him?" I
I thought he
missed the
was like
whole
an
meeting.
extended family member or something. I don't know. Maybe he was a friend. I feel like she doesn't really have that many friends apart from Kata, you know? I mean,
Mhm.
she has like her handmaiden, Gia, but
But
all
even
Gia
that's, like
does, she's always just like trying to push Alaric and Taliesin
mhm.
together and just like kind
She's
of a
like, "You'll be
gossip
happy."
mill. She's like, here, you have to wear this lingerie that's like covering only your naughty bits. That's it. Have fun. One thing that we haven't talked about yet is the Void Fell. I kept picturing, like in Shadow and Bone, you had the Shadow Fold that was literal
Mhm.
darkness over the land that was just kind of devouring everything living, whether it was plant life, animals, people, whatever. So that's kind of like how I kept picturing it.
Okay, what I pictured is different, and it's gonna sound stupid. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
God.
but
Brace
like
yourself.
it felt like it was like something that just like kind of went off and then came back in, like, and it killed, right? Like it wasn't something that was there all the time.
Like a flare of some.
Yeah, and so I picture, what is it? Which video game is it that there's, like, that circle that, like, keeps going in, and if you're caught outside of it, you die? Fortnite, maybe? I don't know. My son plays it, so it has to be one of those. But I pictured that, but in reverse. So, like, the circle is the fell,
Mm.
and everything inside of it
Maybe.
dies.
I was
And
picturing something more permanent.
like, the grandma said that it could eat up everything. I pictured it like a kind of bomb going off, that
Yeah.
everything in its path would be destroyed, and she kept saying, like, "We, save up and we store our resources for when this happens."
Oh.
And so that when it gets the land, whatever land it is, that they still have resources that they can use, and she's like, "But this one is going to be a lot bigger than it has been in the past."
This one is supposed to go off like in 4 months or something, right?
Mhm.
And isn't its main area gonna be Keseth, the Shadow Empire?
Well, it's going to include it,
It's gonna
yes.
have that.
And
Okay.
so that's where she pulls him in, or so she says. That's how she pulls him in, is both kingdoms need to work together to stop this, or we're both going to be destroyed. And she's
Mm.
like, whereas we save up our resources, you don't, which may or may not have been a stupid thing for her to say, because they have an army, they can attack you. They don't necessarily need to save resources. They just need to be stronger than the person that did.
Right? And we've seen they've been kicking y'all's butts for years. Like, you guys are like guerrilla tactics over here.
Yeah, Neverine, or I still don't.
Nenevar.
Nineveh, Neverine. Okay, Nineveh, all same letters. Okay, just playing, switch the letters around. Nineveh has been out of the war since Talison's mom started it.
That's funny.
um,
Oopsie.
so they've been kind of like Switzerland.
Very, a little isolationist, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, "We're not a part of
Secretive.
this. Go do what you wanna do, but we're not part." I don't know how much of what the grandma says is actual truth.
Oh, yeah,
I
I feel
feel
like
like she has a
everyone.
lot of manipulation going on, even of her granddaughter, and her granddaughter keeps calling her, and she's like, "Well, I'm going to continue to do it because that's what I think is best for my kingdom." And it's like, "Oh my god."
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what's actual manipulation on her grandma's part, or what's truth coming out of her mouth.
I feel like we're just gonna keep getting revisionist history from each major, political head of each country until either Alaric or Taliesin open up those memories of what
Yeah,
actually went
happened.
down. Hmm.
Because I don't fully think that Talison's mom did what they say she did. And I don't think that the Night Kingdom is attacking for the reasons that they say that they are. And I don't think that the grandma is doing things for the reasons she says she is.
What if it was Alaric's mom who killed her father-in-law, and
That
that's why she
sounds
had to
more like
run?
it, and that's why dad killed her. But we don't know if the father-in-law was good or bad. Like, I can't get a sense of, did he start the bullshit that's going on, or was that just the
Maybe.
dad?
Ooh.
Because maybe he was doing bad things. Maybe he was a part of the punishments of Alaric, and she killed him because of that. He took it too far, and she was like, nope, not gonna allow this. Maybe that's gonna be some of his memories, is that it wasn't happy, and his mom protected him the best she could.
Didn't Alaric keep thinking that he hated his mom and had so much resentment about her because until all the stuff with her happened, that's when his father changed. Like his father was very different until whatever happened and the mom left and stuff. And that's why he has so much resentment toward his mom.
I think he had a different life before his mom left. I think he had a more happy life, and I don't think he is pinpointing the memories very well as to what made that a happy life. I think he just remembers being happy before she left, and then after she left, he was not.
This is gonna be like Trial of the Sun Queen, where we're gonna need some chapters of like flashbacks to fill in all the gaps so that we know
Yes.
what the fuck happened in the
Yes.
past. We
I
need that
think
much.
I think it's going to be very much that it was not happy on his dad's side. His mom was keeping it as good as she could.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think his mom left of her own accord.
Poor mama's in this book.
Maybe she was trying to, and that's where he got the memory of her come with me, but I don't think she left of her own accord.
One thing I hope does not happen in this series is I hope no dragons are killed. Because when they hurt that one dragon and had to dive into the sea, I was so upset. I was like, don't
Yes.
touch the sacred dragons.
But there are only 7 of them.
Is that how many there are?
Well, you said something about 7 dragons.
Oh, the 7 moons.
7 moons. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I thought it was dragons. Okay, that
7
makes more
moons,
sense.
and there was like a dragon god that ate all but one of them. That's why we have the one.
And then at some point, one tries to come back out and he eats it again or something like that. Is that what I read in that story?
I don't know if it was, yeah. But I do like looking at the cover and you see like all of the moons. And then if you flip it upside down,
Ah.
there's Alaric in his wolf mask.
Hold it up again. I want to see this closer. Okay.
And you have the airships.
What are the red moons?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just a design thing they did because here's the 7.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just
Maybe it's something that we don't know of yet. Because they do keep mentioning like the eclipses and special events, and that's how they're able to do their powers and stuff. So maybe the red moons are those special ones. And then yeah, the ship. And then that little like the top section with like the yellow on the top left, maybe. My top left up there. That looks very much like a little dragon, like the Asian
like a little
versions of
worm
dragons,
worm
you know?
dragon.
Yeah.
I like the inside because you have like
Oh,
the
that's
major
beautiful.
countries over here, and then you have each of the different magics that there are. So like the Light Weaver,
Oh, I could have used that.
to help remember, and then the little
That's
island
gorgeous
where
too.
they're being spirited away. I think this is the Barnes and Noble edition. And then you got like Thea Guanzon's initials here.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
like that.
All of the editions I've seen of this book are so pretty, especially the UK editions. They get prettiest everything. Those people.
I should have looked while I was over there for some of these books. I didn't. I looked in Italy for Throne of Glass, but that was it. Because I got the whole series of Throne of Glass and I couldn't figure out how I was getting it home. So I had to stop looking for books.
Okay, so in Italy, did they have the Italian versions or like the UK English versions
The
or
UK,
both?
like they were in English. So they're the European editions.
Oh.
But they say Italy on them.
I love looking at other countries'
Yeah.
versions of our books.
Yeah.
They always get the prettiest ones, so good.
Well, and this one, I like it a lot better than the US ones because it's like black and white with just a little color on it.
Uh-huh.
It's got a nice juxtaposition on color.
I don't know if you've seen the cover for A Monsoon Rising, but it's very similar to this, except I think the color scheme is like red and silver. So it's
Oh.
very, very striking as well.
Well,
So that one comes out December 10th.
and that is that blue or purplish blue?
This here,
Uh-huh.
it's purple.
Okay. Cuz purple is usually like the color of royalty, and so I'm wondering if we're going to find out that the colors for them are red and gold for her. Because wasn't there a scene where, oh no, that was a different thing that I was reading, where only certain people can wear gold.
Yeah, and didn't she have like her eyes are brown, but she has like a little smidge of
Gold.
gold in
Hmm.
them
And
and
his are
like chestnut
silver.
hair. Yes, yes. Ooh, look at Tara. She's a
It's
detective over here.
So I'm wondering if those colors are going to play something. Again, I'm clowning all over the place. This might not be anything, but I'm looking into everything because I know nothing at this point. And if you know nothing about me, it should be that I don't like not knowing things. And so I will try and figure out an answer to everything.
Tara likes to play detective.
Uh huh.
That damn Taylor Swift effect. Any last words about the Hurricane Wars before we kind of give a preview of what's to come next week?
No, I just think we're going to find out a lot. Hopefully, we're going to
Hopefully.
see, hopefully, we're going to see some of that lovers because I'm ready. Like, I
Way
really
more.
like Alaric.
I do too.
Although
He's just so.
he's I'm having trouble with Alaric because he feels so much like a little boy.
Mm.
Like he gives off little boy vibes, and so I'm having a hard time differentiating like his personality with his full man bod, right? Like his age. Because
I
he
mean,
gives
the.
off young vibes. He gives off very pedophilia, if you like him, vibes.
Okay, but in defense of this, right? I do see the Raylo fanfic stuff because if you think of Kylo Ren's
Yeah.
character, he's a giant, petulant child, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's kind of.
Okay, is that a real thing with this? Is it a Raylo fanfic?
Yeah, so Theo was writing Raylo fanfic, and someone was like, "Hey, you need to turn this into like an actual adult fantasy book and stuff." And so she did a bunch of major changes to the story and characters and everything, and it kind of morphed into something else. But it was originally inspired by that dynamic between Ray and Kylo Ren.
Okay. Okay.
So if you think about like this whole size difference, and she's just like, "You're a giant," and he's like, "Oh, you're a tiny person."
Okay, I can also see the
Uh-huh.
snark because I
Mm-hmm.
really love Kylo's snark
Mhm.
too.
Mhm. I do too. So that's the only thing that's like not crossing the pedo line for me.
Okay, so now I'm like thinking about the Raylo stuff because okay, so hear me out. Kylo's mom is gone a lot. She is a part of the resistance, which and this would be the Sardovian whatever, right?
Mhm.
He has not met the leader of the Sardovian thing because she's been on this island hiding. What's her name? Starts with a B.
Is it Vela?
I don't. Maybe I don't know. It sounds way different when you're listening to it 3 times speed. So maybe yes. Ray,
Ooh.
like Kylo's mom is Princess Leia, right? So the leader of the resistance. His dad is Han Solo, so that doesn't really fit in with his dad being like horrible. But his grandpa was killed by the resistance. And the light people are the Jedis that they thought that they got rid of, but there's still one left in Rey and Luke, but and then the dark side is his grandpa's power. And really the guy that like raised Kylo after he left Luke's like training camp because he wanted to turn dark is what was his name, like the Sith Lord or whatever, the old icky dude that Kylo
Mm.
then like impales and cuts in half. Maybe he kills his dad.
Tara's so hopeful here.
Okay, okay, I can see it.
Right? It's not perfect like one for one, but you definitely see the influence. Anywho.
Okay, yeah, and sorry, I'm now, like, really like, I thought that that was just, like, a offhanded comment. I didn't realize that this was actually, like, based on it because, yeah, Rey's parents like, I fully thought Rey's parents were something, and the going theory is that they were Palpatines. So, like, the guy that was raising Kylo, his children were actually or his daughter or whatever was actually Rey's dad and mom.
Oh.
Maybe we're gonna see something like that, that the bad guy is a part of his mom's lineage or her mom's lineage.
I guess we'll see in A Monsoon Rising coming
Yeah.
out December 10th.
And we will have an episode for you on that too.
Yes. Hopefully on the
Speaking
10th.
speaking of which, so our next episode will be on Tale of the Heart Queen, right?
Yes, by Nisha Tooley.
Which is book 4, 3, 4? Okay. Can't remember how many of those books I've read. In the Heart Queen saga, I think it has a different name. So we'll have
Oh.
to like remember what happened in those books because it's been a little while since we've read those, right?
Hey, we have like 3 episodes that we've recorded on it. Just
Yeah,
listen
just go
double
back and
speed, triple
listen to
speed.
those to get caught back up because it's been a little while. I can't remember who the characters are in that book, but we are going to talk about it the next time and get pulled back into the world of the Heart Queen.
Yes,
And
the 4th
then,
and final.
yes, and then we will talk about Monsoon Rising, which comes out, like Sandra said, on December 10th. So we will talk shortly after or on December 10th because we've got an advanced reader copy of that. So we need to get on that.
Yes, we have a couple advanced reader copies that we've been sitting on for literal months, and we've just had too much on our plate right now. So November 26th, look out for Tale of the Heart Queen, December 10th-ish, thereabouts, A Monsoon Rising, and then Tara and I are going to enjoy a nice little holiday reprieve until Fourth Wing 3 comes out.
Onyx Storm
Yay! See what happens with Xaden.
is a
So
little,
excited.
yeah.
And Darna,
Oh, I
Sigale.
love Andarna
I
so
know, you
much.
adore her. I can't wait to get back into that world with Violet and all of them.
My daughter got me a little like
Oh,
dragon because I loved Aunt Darna so much, and so I was talking about this gold dragon. Obviously, this is a little golden orange dragon, but she's like, "It's
yeah.
okay. Like here you go." So she got me a little
That's so
dragon that's living
cute.
on my desk.
Very thoughtful of her. So we hope you enjoyed our discussion of the Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. And until next week. Oh, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, reviewed us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, doing so would help so much. We appreciate it, but even listening is just very much appreciated by us. So thank you. Until next week, we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.